All right, Black opinionated woman here, also known as a Bo. I'm calling myself Bo Prime tonight. So look, the title of this is Coach Prime is the best thing that has happened to HBCUs. So, I meant to kind of poke a little bit. But anyway, so let me just start off a little bit. I wasn't 100% prepared for this. I had some talking points and they're all over, just so you can see. I've got all kinds of sticky notes all over the place. Okay, I got three different sticky notes. So I did not organize myself. So you're going to have to excuse me. So, look, this is what I want to say. Coach Prime, also known as Deion Sanders, played in the NFL, played in the Major League Baseball, he played in the MLB. I can't even get that out right. Okay. Um, so, and I think you mentioned that he has a daughter. He is now the head coach of the Jackson State University football team. It is a Division I team. It's part of the SWAC. Was the South
Southwestern Athletic
Athletic?
Conference.
Thank you. Sorry.
There you go.
Okay. Um, we can go on and on and on. We can talk about his star power and all that other good stuff. So you and I had this conversation before. We were talking about this, and we were getting into how this was like one of the best things that could have happened to well, at first we said this was great for Jackson State. I mean, we were both having that aha moment, but you probably had before me, if we're gonna be honest. It's good for all of it's really good for, in my opinion, all of HBCUs. Now, before I
Hmm.
get into this, for those of you who are new to my channel, my channel is primarily curated for content that has lends a specificity towards Black women or Black women issues, but I also still like to talk about the culture. I put that in earmarks. So let me see. I got to double check because D Shabazz may be joining in, so hopefully he won't have any audio problems tonight. So what I wanted to do was just basically point out for those of you who are still relatively new to my channel, although I talk about women's issues, primarily those that are, I don't want to say issues, but just things that are, I think, for Black women, I still like to talk about the culture. And one of the things that stood out to me was this Coach Prime situation. For those of you who don't look like me, if you don't know what an HBCU is, which, believe it or not, there are people who don't know, and an HBCU is a historically Black college and university, and they were created because years ago, before the civil rights movement, we just had, well, primarily based off of Jim Crow laws and et cetera, Black students were denied entry into many universities, or they were just sorely underrepresented. So we had tons of schools that have popped up for years before the civil rights movement, but to actually educate some of our Black leaders today. All right. So basically, what they did was they served the African American community. They were basically institutions of higher education, and basically just gave many people who looked like me and CBR kid opportunities. Now, I did not attend an HBCU. If you've seen many of my lives before, we've talked about why I did not attend the HBCU. And it wasn't because I didn't want to, it was just shenanigans and some other things. But I was supposed to have been an Aggie. But I wound up going to school in the Northeast. CBR Kid is a proud graduate of an HBCU. I'll let him speak to that in a little bit. But primarily, what we want to do is talk about why Coach Prime, also known as Deion Sanders, is good for HBCUs. Did you want to give any um, information, or do you want to provide any sort of feedback before I start getting
No,
into?
no, go right into it. You covered it pretty well. Go.
Did I?
Let's
Okay.
jump right into it.
Just jump right into it. So let me see if I can go back to okay. I'm gonna just see if I can play. I'm gonna play this one little clip here for a second. Bear with me.
Prime. Areas of our life. Discipline provokes opportunity. If you're not disciplined, you're not going to get opportunities in that in which you want to get opportunities for. I'm old school. Our coaches shot it straight to us. They didn't pacify us. They didn't sugarcoat us. They just said what it was. In this new generations, we can't truly be like our coaches was because y'all can't handle it. Because y'all was a little softer. Y'all was raised a little different. Y'all was coddled a little more.
Oh, stop right there. Now, before I get into all the other talking points, I loved this clip. I love this clip.
Mm-hmm.
It discusses. I mean, I could play the whole thing, but and I don't want to just like hijack this with a bunch of clips or anything like that. Let me see if that's better. Wait, wrong one. Okay. I like that clip because what they were getting at was talking about discipline and discipline leading to opportunities, talking about how young men have been coddled. And I know that's hard for a lot of people to hear. And I'm sure you're going to jump in because, you've played football, you can talk about, and you also coach a semi pro football team. Um, he went into a lot of why the young men today, you can't even talk to them. There are
Mm-hmm.
other clips. I don't know if I downloaded. There was one he says that he's not interested in coaching an NFL team because it's hard to talk to somebody who's being paid a whole lot of money and they don't have the love for the game and some other things like that. But anyway, I don't know if you wanted to chime in on that before I start
No,
reading.
he's 100% on point. I don't coach in college, but a lot of the guys I coach are roughly around the same age as his players at Jackson State. He's 100% correct. A lot of the guys, they can't take criticism. They can't take the hard coaching. Like he said, Deion's a little bit older than me, but not that much. And I was coached the same way. You coached hard. You make a mistake, coaches in your behind. You do something wrong off the field, coaches in your behind. Whatever, you do something good, coaches still in your behind.
Yeah.
So, that's the way that I was coached and starting. I didn't know any other way. That was just the way it was done. And what I've noticed is over time, it's changed to where players want to offer their opinion. And I'm like, and you're looking at them like, when I want your opinion, I'll give it to you. Yeah, I'm the coach. I mean, not that I can't learn from you, but there's a time and a place and a way to do things. But mostly the way we were raised, when the coach is talking, you're not. You ask questions or whatever the case may be. But coaches, like he said, coaches gave it to you straight. You know, I think back to one of my coaches at Morgan. He's passed away now. But one of the things he told us was some of you guys do have enough talent to play in the NFL, but you won't. You won't even get the opportunity. So you should go to class.
Oh,
Straight
wow.
like that. And he was honest. He said, "Look, you come from a black school and a losing black school at that. So like that, the
Ooh.
chances of you even getting an opportunity are slim to none. So go to class." Okay, coach.
You know, you know what? You brought up conversations maybe 6 months ago, and even recently, you and I had this conversation, man, maybe pushing a year ago when you were
Mhm,
talking about how the nuances of like having a resume. And
mhm.
maybe we could discuss that later, but I think that's a really good point for anybody who may be watching this and during the replay about why having this I'm going to the resume you were talking about and how just
Mhm.
to get that visibility. But I want to continue on with him because I think we really need to
Sure.
circle back to this point. I mean, you might want to take a note. I'm not telling you what to do. I don't want anyone to think that I'm being too masculine. But I
Right,
thought it
right,
was
right. They gonna
such
come for you.
yeah, but it was such a good point that you brought up. And I was like I was learning something in that conversation. I was sitting there almost like sucking my thumb, like, wait, what? So but anyway, so I wanted to get back to this Coach Prime thing for a second. So
Mhm,
basically, the reason why this stands out, you and I talk about this a lot. So HBCUs don't have in recent times
mhm.
um the reputation per se for putting out stars in the NFL or the NBA or whatever like that. And it's not that they're not talented, but part of it is because of profile, part of it may be access to opportunities or training facilities, whatever. I don't know. I'm sure you can speak more to that,
Yeah,
but
it's just not the
maybe
numbers that they once were. Well, I told you before. I've been to the Eddie Robinson Museum and Grambling. Jackson State does too. Each school has 4 players in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but in the Eddie Robinson Museum, Grambling has a display, and it's a little jersey of every player that's ever gone to the NFL under Coach Eddie Robinson, and it was a lot. But yeah, in recent times, it's not been anywhere near that number. Not, I can't speak for Grambling, but just across HBCUs in general, the number's not that high. But there's also a reason for that, which we, we'll get into in a bit. But and my dad played at Morgan, 69 to 73. At that time, Morgan was a very good football team. They had a legendary football coach. Grambling had a legendary football coach, and I'm sure the other HBCUs did as well. But that's where a lot of black athletes went at that time. So it's no surprise that a lot of NFL players came out of HBCUs at that time. And of course, as time went on, a lot of those players shifted to going to your PWIs. And today you look at the makeup of most Power Five, look at the makeup of their football team. It's probably 70-80% black players.
You may want to mention what the Power Five is, because my channel I actually took the time to look at the analytics. I finally did. And my analytics, after about, I don't know how many months, because I haven't checked in like 6 to 8 months.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, it is basically 100% women. So when you say the Power Five, what is the Power Five?
Okay, so the Power Five are your big five conferences: ACC, Atlantic Coast Conference, Southeastern Conference, the SEC, the Big Ten, the Big 12, and the Pacific 12, the Pac-12 out west. Okay. Those are your Power Five conferences, which are basically your power brokers in football and basketball for the most part.
Okay. So with the history, now you and I had a conversation today. I try to make sure I'm referencing our conversation, and I really want to give you as much credit as possible, because you're much more aware of the history than I am, right? So we were having a conversation, or maybe it was the other day, maybe it was 2 days ago. I can't remember. It was actually 2 days ago, wasn't it? It was like a Monday. We were supposed to do this live yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
But we were OBE yesterday, so we pushed it today. So you mentioning, I think I wrote this down, University of Alabama didn't even admit their first black player into the 60s. And then once that started happening, all these schools started allowing or admitting these black athletes, which means, and they were enticing them and luring them away with all kinds of money, riches, whatever it is.
Resources.
Point blank. So, and so what happened was, we no longer had our top athletes or our stars going to the HBCUs. And it wasn't that they were shy of talent, but the big name stars were no longer attending these schools. And one of the things that you were mentioning to me was Travis Hunter, who was the number one recruit, I believe it was last year, chose to go to Jackson State versus Florida State. Did I get it right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so he chose to go to Jackson State University versus Florida State, and he's there with Coach Prime, Deion Sanders' two sons. The quarterback was a Shador, and the Shiloh.
Is a defensive back.
The defensive. Okay, so with that being said, so now you've got this influx of all the talent going to these PWI schools, these big powerhouse schools, and they have all the resources and the training and the trainers and the facilities, everything, the money, the everything, know. So now they're being lured away from the black schools, basically, our HBCUs. The black athletes arrive at these white schools, and then it was basically a takeover.
And it's hard. It's hard to blame a kid where you go see what the University of Florida has to offer in terms of facilities and, like you said, all the things they can offer you. And then you go over to FAMU or Bethune and you're like, wow, it's not even close. How hard of a sell is that to that kid? Not realizing that HBCU environment is probably going to be more nurturing to you as a human being, as a black man, and you care more about your development as a person. But at 18 years old, you're not thinking about that. You just see all of the stuff they put in front of you. And like, to put it in perspective, I was reading, I forget where I was reading it today. I think it was on Forbes. Coach Nick Saban, his salary at University of Alabama right now is $11 million a year.
I read it was 13.
It might be 13. That may have been last year's article. But Jackson State's football budget is $4 million a year for their entire football program. So, obviously, Nick Saban's earned every dollar that he gets. And, he's done more than great. He's done an all-time great job at University of Alabama. But it's just that disparity is not unique. You got a coach that's making 3 times the entire budget for the HBCU. Now they're 2 different states, so I'm not talking about that. It's just the difference in resources. If
Yeah.
they're paying the coach 11 million, how much are they putting into the program? And that's in the hundreds of millions. So it's a huge difference.
It's interesting because I was looking up all the stats, and like they said that he made the one I read said he was about 13 million, and
Mm-hmm.
Coach Prime is at 500K. And
500K, yeah.
he didn't care about the salary per se. I mean, like he's like super paid anyway between the NFL, the MLB, and all of his like endorsements and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But
money's not an issue for
it's
him.
not an issue for him. I read somewhere that he had taken half of his salary to renovate the locker rooms.
To help with that, yeah.
Well, I mean, it wasn't like it was a partial, right? So I was like, "Holy cow!" I'm like, "I want 500K."
Well, the thing is, it's I think a lot of people doubted him or doubted his sincerity when he took the job. I've heard Shannon Sharp talk about him, who they're good friends, and he said, a lot of people don't know Deion's always aspired to coach, and he's been coaching and kind of coming up through youth and high school up until now. But the things that he's doing, they always say actions speak louder than words.
Yeah.
But the things that he's doing at Jackson State are really nothing short of amazing in the time. He's only been there not even a full 2 years, I don't think. And in that time, he's taken a team that really was losing prior to him getting there, turned them into a winner, generated all kinds of money and exposure for not just Jackson State, but for the Southwest Athletic Conference and HBCUs in general. He's gotten him a brand new practice facility that didn't exist before. He's gotten all of these things done in this short period of time that it's undeniable the impact that he's had. And even the first season that he coached was the COVID season, the shortened season. Jackson State was on ESPN every week. And ESPN, I read somewhere they flat out said if it wasn't for Deion, we would not be airing these games. So just him being there is a huge boost for that school and the conference and HBCUs in general.
Yeah. I was reading up today that, so in late 2021, or let me rephrase that, I believe it was late 2020 and throughout 2021, I just wanted to know who's sponsoring the SWAC. And I'm like, I'm going to presume that this was attributed to him. Okay. Hold on. Let me
Sure.
see. Look, let me just go ahead. Shenanigans. All right. Shenanigans. So look, everything's alleged until it's proven to be true or untrue. But anyway, so I read out on my internet that PepsiCo, General Motors, and USAA are sponsoring the SWAC now. And for those of you who don't know what USAA, that's one of the major banking systems or whatever for those who are military or prior military or dependents of those in the military. I have a USAA account. Okay. I will always keep that account. I get better rates for certain things, et cetera, et cetera. So that's like a big deal. You know how many people are part of the armed forces?
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
So it's not just the people who are in the Air Force, it's all the armed forces, it's their dependents. Okay. And so, yes, I use my USA account. Now I have other accounts, but I will always keep that. Not that this matters, because I totally went off on a bunny trail. But the point I'm making is, so he's got like big time, and that's just the 3 that I read. There very well could be more, but I'm like, when you talk about General Motors and Pepsi and USA, and I'm like, wow, like this is all recent from what I've read.
Correct. And the practice field, the practice field that he had built was Walmart paid for it. He got Walmart to pay for that. So
crazy.
So it's literally, you can see the immediate turnaround that, and the impact that he's having. But, what I hope on a bigger scale is that he's showing the rest of HBCU football how you run a program.
Yeah.
This is the way a Division 1 program is supposed to work. It shouldn't even really be special, but I mean, it is because because he's him, and we know that most HBCUs, in fact, all underfunded and don't necessarily have the resources or whatever the case may be, and we know and understand that. But at the same time, I also know from playing at HBCU that there's a serious disconnect, usually, at least at mine, between administration and the athletic department and the investment that they're willing to put into the athletic department. But I say, look, obviously everybody can't have a Deion Sanders come coach their team. But if you just look at, basically it's almost like Jackson says, giving them a blank check. Coach, do what you need to do. Let us know what you need. We'll take care. We'll make sure you get it. And they've gotten that money back tenfold.
It's so good for. Let me tell you why I think this is so good for HBCUs.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he's definitely raised the profile of Jackson State. Jackson State basically, it's like a gold mine. Like they hit the lottery, right? But
Mm-hmm.
it was so much bigger than that because now by Jackson State being televised, whoever they're playing is getting televised. So the
Getting tele-
profile of the other schools are getting their profile is being raised. They're getting a look at these other athletes. Okay, like
Correct.
when he was fussing about, I remember this is like no lie. It was like a year or so ago. I was watching television with my husband,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, "What kind of high school team are you watching? Since when do we watch high school?" And he was like, "That's college." And the
Mm-hmm.
reason why I said that was, and I don't even know who we were watching, but I was like, "Well, how come they don't have like what's up with their uniforms?" This was like about a year ago. I was like, "Why do their
Mm-hmm.
uniforms don't look like I don't know?" And so I think they didn't have names on it, but it was so funny because I saw a clip of him saying like, "Hey, don't you think that somebody's child who is watching this, I mean, somebody's mother wants to see their child out there. They want to be able to identify their child, all that hard work they put into their kids." I'm paraphrasing what he said.
Mm-hmm. I
But he's
remember. I know
like,
exactly what you're talking about.
yeah, he's like, look, somebody's mother and father is out there who put all this effort into their kid, getting into practices and all this other stuff. Don't you think they want to identify their child? Don't you think they want to see their name and their number,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. So I was like, he brings up a good point. When I saw that, it was like a year or so ago. I said, they look like they're like a high school team. Like it just didn't look clean and polished. I was
Production quality.
production quality. Like I remember when I was listening to the commentators, it was like, I was like, who is that talking on there? I could do a better job. I'd be like, okay,
Yeah.
number 89, he's coming down. The situation, this is a situational situation. It would have been better than what they said. I mean, I don't
Yes.
know what kind of stats I would have said.
But again, you talk about the investment, right? You're not paying Kirk Herbstreit to do the game. You're paying some guy you never heard of to call the game.
He was paying
So,
both time.
so right. So that again, that's part of the investment, right? I mean, obviously, you can't you get whatever media outlet you can to broadcast the game, but you still need to demand a certain level of quality, a certain level of excellence. And if you can't provide that, then we just won't broadcast this game. We're not going, that should be the attitude. We're not going to do this thing halfway. We're either going to do it all the way or we're not going to do it at all. And it's like, and you can see the different, we've talked about this before where, I've watched multiple different broadcasts of HBCU games where I know exactly what you mean. But then when you watch the Bayou Classic in November, which is Grambling and Southern, I believe that's aired on NBC. It's one of the big three. It's normal college, normal Division 1 level production, and it looks like a college football game that you would see from any other school. So that just the investment.
Well, that's the reason why I was like, you and I talk. This is a good example of what coaching and everything can do. When you have like top-notch coaching. I live in an
Mm-hmm.
area where lacrosse is a big deal, right? It's actually
Mm-hmm.
considered a rich person's sport. My daughter doesn't know anything different. Oh, I see Deisha Bass is here. I'm going to add him shortly. Um, my daughter gets top-notch coaching.
Mm-hmm.
It's just basically anybody she's around has been to a Division 1, Division 2, well, a lot of Division 1. I mean, even from when she was in
Mm-hmm.
recreation before she went to club, she was
Mm-hmm.
hey Deisha Bass, but she's gotten top-notch coaches, and they're used to, and these coaches are from top-notch programs,
Mhm.
recognizable like big names, and my husband is aware of this type of thing because he played in college, right? So
Mhm.
he played Division 1 lacrosse. And so my whole big thing is like, when you get that access, I'll never forget when somebody was there's people who wanted to put together like these teams. And I was telling you, and you're aware of this, I said, look, you need athletes for these types of things, but you can't not have the coaching. I said,
Mhm.
because in the training, in the facilities, I said, because let me tell you something.
Mhm.
If a brand new team that looks like my daughter were to show up and try to play her team, they would get blown out because
Mhm.
the skill level is too much. It's team too much.
Mhm.
They're getting it's like on some other.
They're getting top-notch coaching.
Yeah, like she's walking out doing certain things. She's gonna, well, and she's an athletic kid, but like then there's like how to use that athleticism.
Mhm.
Then there's like the gameplay, right? And so that's the kind of thing I felt like, I was seeing like our black athletes attending these schools, and it's not that they're shy of talent, but like you
No,
say, resources,
resources.
facilities,
Yeah.
being able just to practice on at a facility,
Well, that
maybe.
was I don't know. Oh, it was in a 60 Minutes interview. One of the things that Deion Sanders touched on was when he first got there, if it rained, they couldn't use their practice field. They had to go to a high school to practice or some other field to practice because the field wasn't usable. The facilities were that bad. And I'm like, wow, this is the school that Walter Payton went to. I'm like, this is not supposed to be this way. But again, knowing my experience at the time at Morgan State University, the facilities that we had, I'm like, wow, this is the school that Hall of Famer Willie Lanier went to. It's not supposed to be this way, but that lack of investment, that lack of resources, available resources.
Yeah,
You know,
he had a clip. I wish I had saved that clip. He had a clip where he was talking about accountability, but
mhm,
he also had a clip where he's like, "Look, everybody wants to say, yeah, yeah, I went to this school. I went to this school. They like to feel all good, basically beating their chest, right?"
mhm,
It's like, but where's your money? Like, where are you giving back? Oh, he
right,
just dropped out.
yeah,
Like when are you giving back? We were talking about it, and I looked up the endowment, and I
mhm,
was like embarrassed at Jackson State University's endowment.
mhm,
60 million?
yeah,
60 million? For those of you who don't know, that's like welfare
nothing.
level for a college. 60 million? I mean, I'm not saying they need to be like Harvard where they have like, what does Harvard have? Like they had like the
Yeah,
largest endowment,
Harvard's I
40
think in the
billion or something,
billions. Yeah,
like 40 billion, something ignorant. But I was like, holy cow, $60 million. That's it.
and that part is on us, specifically on us. As I mean, I didn't go to Jackson State, but as people, community members, alumni, people went there, played there, so on and so forth, and have gone on and taken their education to, as Dion told his guys, taking that education to get a career and have an opportunity to have a career. Then it's your job to give back to the university. It's your job to donate that money back, as those alumni at the PWIs do in large quantities, which is why
Yeah.
they have such large endowments.
I mean, I was looking at like you and I were trying to like find the student enrollment. We were like
Mm-hmm.
everywhere. And we've come to the conclusion that the Jackson State University student enrollment is actually declining. So
Mm-hmm.
back in 2016, now I have a total enrollment number, so I don't have the breakdown for just undergraduate, but the
Mm-hmm.
total enrollment was 9,811.
Mm-hmm.
We looked up the 2022. What did we say it was? I lost my little note to
Yeah,
my
it dropped there in
it
2022. It's
dropped.
like 6,000 something. Yeah.
Yeah. We were looking at like the endowment in 2019. I'm sorry, I have some notes. The endowment in 2019 was 60 million. The student, I have two different numbers. My apologies to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So what it showed was in 2016 there were 9,811 students. I believe that was a total. I believe that was total. In
Mm-hmm.
the fall of 2021, there was 4,763 undergraduate students. So
Mm-hmm.
based off, we looked up all kinds of numbers, and we were like, we think based off of the information. Now, we didn't do a hard search. We didn't call them up. We weren't, we think there was a decline in enrollment. And so when you
Mm-hmm.
went to the page, I went to the page and we noticed, or I forgot what it was, but I think we were trying to find out what is the student like enrollment? What is the population?
Yeah.
They had
Yeah.
it broken down by major or something like that. I was like,
Yeah.
okay. So anyway, the point I'm making is, well, you have declining numbers in students, which means you have declining numbers in opportunities for people to give back.
Yep.
So now when we think about now this football program, that he's raising the profile of this football program, he's getting sponsorships. He's like, no, okay. He's telling people like, if you want me to play these bigger name schools, well, you need to pay me like you pay all these other schools who go on TV to get
Yep.
their hind parts handed
Talked
to them,
about that.
right?
Yep.
So he's going in on all the shenanigans. There's so many things you and I talked about, like down to like the people who are in the stadium that they're like saying that they sold out the stadiums, but really they're giving away their tickets,
Mm-hmm.
all that kind of stuff, right? And I was thinking about like, well, if the numbers aren't matching up, it's just how do you can't compete,
No,
right?
no.
Like you're not bringing in the revenue. It's
I
not.
mean, we're decades behind in terms of resources, but that's the one of the things that I like that Coach Prime is doing is he's holding everybody accountable, not just his players, not just his staff and support staff, but he's holding the administration accountable. He's holding the local community accountable. He's holding the state government accountable. He talked about, he put it out there publicly about, hey, why do these kids' refund checks take this amount of time when every other state employee is getting their paychecks on time? Why are you holding these kids' money? They need this. They need their money. So he's holding everybody accountable, and he's not afraid to call it out publicly. So now you can, from the powers that be, you can't hide. You can't say, no, this is not a thing, or you can't explain it away, because he's calling it out. And those of us who've been there know that, hey, that's the truth. That's true that they, there's no doubt about it that that's true that they do these things, or that's true that these things are happening. So, I like I said, across the board, I think what he's doing is so much bigger than just Jackson State.
I just want to play this one clip real quick, just because I'm petty, but I liked it. I want to play this. Check this out.
You're up.
Hey, Dion, I was just wondering if you could...
hold on. Let's back up a little bit. You don't call Nick Saban Nick. Don't call me Dion now, okay?
I call Nick Saban Nick.
You don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. That's a lie. If you call Nick Nick, you get cussed out on the spot. So don't do that to me. Treat me like Nick.
Okay, Dion.
All right.
Just...
Okay, so I mean, I just
remember when that happened.
He is like requiring people to be like, yo, you don't call him Nick. Hold on a second.
Right.
I feel like I gotta put something up here for a second. Look, fair use. Bam. All right.
No, but I mean, yeah, he's absolutely right about that. Show me the respect that you would show the other coaches. In this context, you're talking to me as Coach Prime, not as Deion Sanders, the football player, or Deion Sanders, the baseball player. You're speaking to me as Coach Prime. Refer to me as Coach, or Coach Sanders, or whatever it is he wants to be referred to as. But I get it, and it's, to me, it's a matter of setting a standard. I'm not going to allow you to, I don't know if devalue is the right word, but devalue who I am or what I'm doing by.
Yeah. But and he's also, look, I wanted to show this one too, because he's also getting on our people. Like, but it was so funny to me, but I just had to play it.
Jackson State head football coach, Coach Prime. Coach, how you feeling today?
No, straight up.
I always ask you how you
You
feeling.
was not talking like that just 2 minutes ago. Can you do the interview? Can you come in like you normally sound
I just want to be clear and concise.
and professional?
Yes, sir.
So being you is not professional.
Well, I mean, I can't say it was a co. I can't do that.
I ain't asked you to do that. I just want you to be you.
Okay, yes, sir. All right, let me start over.
Right.
All right. Joining me is Jackson State coach, Coach Prime. Is that the same?
Dog, it's the same. Like, just be you. Just try your best to be you.
Okay. All right. I thought I was doing that, but anyway, I want to just ask you, you feeling okay?
See, like if I say, "Man, what's up, Rob J?" That's me. What's up, Rob J? You know the difference? Did you see the difference? That's what you do. And I don't know who you trying to please out there, but I just want you to try your best to be you.
All right. How you feeling today?
Much better. I feel good.
Okay, that's enough. The point I'm getting
Yeah,
at
coach is
was
funny.
he is really coming for people. Like,
Mhm.
stop with the shenanigans. Let's not
Yeah.
be fake. I have
Yeah.
all kinds of clips here, but I really like that he wasn't just going after the one guy. He's like, look, you don't call him Nick. Don't call me Dion. But he
Mhm.
comes after, he's this equal opportunity a-hole to
Yeah,
everybody.
everybody can get it.
Everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know. I guess to me, this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to talk about how the importance of him being at Jackson State raises the profile of the university, the
Mhm.
significance of that. So I'm going to wind it back. I was on TikTok and I saw this young lady. She said she enjoys going to Alabama
Mhm.
because as an academic person, I think she was a biracial Black woman. I don't know who she
Mhm.
was, whatever it was, but she was like, I love going here. She brought up a good point. She's like, you know what? Alabama brings in so much money for their football team. And it's like us academics have such a low profile. That
Mhm.
sheer amount of money that they bring in pays for their education.
A lot of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So she's like, oh, there goes these are bad. He's back. So she's like, the amount of money the football team brings in, that's just football, brings
Right.
in helps pay for other opportunities for students.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
where I'm going with this is what I love about him raising the profile of Jackson State is it's going to take time to get all the contracts
Oh,
because
yeah.
there's things that are
No
legacy,
doubt.
right?
No doubt.
As he raises the profile of this school and requires people like you want to play me, pay me my money.
Right. Well,
Seats.
it's funny you mention it because I think back to it's 30 for 30 series that ESPN does. They did one on the University of Miami, and they talked to some of the players from the early to mid '80s that kind of helped when Miami was what Alabama is now.
Mhm.
And one of the things one of the guys said was that I found it kind of odd, but every time we won a bowl game, a new building went up on campus. So now the president denied that the growth of the university had anything to do with the growth of the football program at the time, which we know was
Yeah.
that's an academic not wanting to admit the impact that athletics had on the school. But he said, I found it mighty odd that I don't know what he's talking about, but every time we won a bowl game, there was a new building that went up, which is fine. That's cool. That's really what should happen. A lot of this money you're bringing in, of course, a good amount of it should be reinvested back into the program, but a lot of it should also be invested into the school and
Absolutely.
invested into to the students because hey, they pay that student fee and all that. They pay out that athletic fee and all that stuff that's
Yeah.
in your itemized
Yeah.
bill. So they absolutely,
Look
you
at
know,
his chain. I love that chain. I know it sounds
oh,
real
prime. Yeah,
terrible.
that's him. That's 100% prime time.
Hey, D. Shabazz, did you want to chime in or are you just hanging out for a second until you find out that the right time to chime in? Uh-oh. All right, I'll let him.
Dum, 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 dum.
Okay. Well, anyway, I just thought the importance of him raising that profile. I really wanted to stress this. This was like really near and dear to me because I went to school on academic scholarships and stuff
Mhm.
like that. I think by the students that are performing out there on this field, right?
Mhm.
I think that it does give other people opportunities. But Libby, you and I were talking about this. I went into like I really wanted to like get into like how it starts small. He's
Mhm.
raising the profile of Jackson State right now, right? And so you know what
Mhm.
happens eventually? It's like, hey, like you and I were talking, these young minds are out there on social media. Yeah, we
Mhm.
just beat this team. Our band was great. We wore this team out, whatever. And what happens is the young minds right now are so good with social media.
Mhm.
And by virtue of them having so much of a profile lift, right? There's
Mhm.
so many ways you can actually flip that. You
Mhm.
know, students are going to start tweeting. Well, maybe not tweeting, but they're going to start posting and everything like
Mhm.
that. See clips and memes and stuff. This is how it was when we walked out and we wore
Yeah,
whatever out,
they
right?
already are.
Right. You see all the memes that are out there, right? But it's bigger than that, right? Because now it's like you grow your design department. Think about
Mhm.
all of the different ways that you got to like advertise for the teams.
Yep.
Like there are internships that can come out of this. It's kind of like, hey, you start off with a free one, it could be a paid one. I don't know, but like it's like, okay, your job right now is to manage all the social media platforms. We're gonna blow
Yep.
this up. Like there's so many ways of
There's a lot
flipping
of
that.
different things. I saw a clip of him actually sitting down with the student equipment managers, assistant equipment managers or whatever, and basically letting them know, hey, if you're going to do this thing, you do it 100%, so on and so forth. Basically, holding them accountable for their work, work ethic and how they do things. But what people don't realize is, hey, you can make a living being an equipment manager in professional sports. That's an important team for any professional sports team or even college sports team. Somebody has to track all the uniforms, the equipment, all of that stuff that they use, and make sure every player is outfitted properly, has everything that they need, whatever the case may be. That's a full-time job. And somebody in the NFL, the NBA, MLB, NHL, all the major sports leagues gets paid to do this. So, again, that's an opportunity for somebody who may not play the sport, but this is what they do. This is their skill set. So,
I
yeah.
mean, it's great because when you raise the profile of the school, think about it. There's going to be more um like sports I'm having a moment here. The people who like work on your body. I don't know
Oh,
if I can remember.
the physical therapist,
Physical therapists,
massage
thank you,
therapist,
PT
yeah,
people, all your
trainers,
sports, your trainers, your mind coaches or whatever you call them. Like all of
yeah,
them are going to
psychologists, yep.
yeah, the psychologists. They're going to want to start going to these places. And it's like, hey,
Well,
you know what? I worked on Travis Hunter.
yeah, or
Think
they'll be
about that.
willing to
That
go. How
builds
about
their
that?
resume.
Yeah.
It builds their resume. So they can take that and jump off into maybe either going into professional sports, like being one of the
Hmm.
teams there, maybe build their own right on the outskirts of the arena or whatever. Like
Hmm.
there's so many ways you can flip this by virtue of Coach Prime being at Jackson State.
Yeah.
He raising the profile of this school is going to bring in more money. You know why? More people are going to want to fill those stands as long as they don't keep like giving away
Oh,
the
yeah.
tickets.
Well, they don't have to now, but
Right.
but
Now they're going to fill the stands. They're going to start buying merch. They're going to start getting more hats. They're going to spend
yeah.
money on somebody designing better logos or something to put on everything.
Yeah.
Merch, the
And
billboards,
and it's
graphic
like
design department start, you know, popping and locking.
and like I said, for me, is the whole thing that he's doing and the example that he's setting for those guys. There was, I think it was on the 60 Minutes interview, there was a clip of him actually cutting the grass because he asked for the grass to be cut and they didn't get it done. So he hopped on the tractor and did it himself.
Yeah.
Now, he's not the first coach to do that. My coach at Morgan did that. When the main facilities people didn't have the practice field or game field cut the way he wanted it in time, he did it himself. But, just the example you're setting for those guys, for the players that you coach is that one, we're not just going to talk it. We're going to live it. We're going to do it. But just showing them that level of accountability, that level of commitment, that level of discipline, that level of, hey, I'm here. This is the goal I want to accomplish. And I'm willing to do what it takes, regardless of how menial the job may seem, to accomplish that goal. So if that means I got to go out and cut some grass so we can have the practice field in proper uh, condition for us to work, then I'm willing to do that because I see the bigger picture. And that'll serve those guys well long after Jackson State football.
I mean, like the things that he's doing, like you talk about how it's going to serve them long after, it's going to serve the community too. Because when you raise the profile, eventually you can have more money in the community. Next thing you know, they're going to be like, hey, we need more restaurants, we need more
Mhm.
homes, we need another hotel.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just talking like
But
we
no,
need
but that's I mean,
a
but
Jackson
that's
State special sauce for
but
burgers. I don't know.
but no, but I mean, it's when I'm looking, yeah, you saw this article earlier. Some of the things he's done in his first year, but even something as simple as getting the custom suits for each player on the team
Yeah.
through Michael Strahan and his suit line. Well, some of those guys may have never even owned a suit before.
I love that.
Some of those guys, the reality is some of those guys may never been in a position to even have to put on a suit, and now you got a custom made suit.
And I
So
mean, not that this is even relevant because I know I'm like in ding dong mode. I'm enjoying my adult juice. I'm just sitting here thinking like I love men in suits.
but I mean, but but it makes me think about again
Oh my gosh.
one of my coaches back at Morgan, Coach Waters, where he talked about that with us one time, and he was just talking about the way you present yourself in general. But he spoke about when he grew up, I didn't have certain things, so when I got to a certain point, of course I'm gonna look good. So whenever we travel, you see him show up with Louis Vuitton luggage and a really nice suit, these really nice dress shoes. Now he had played 12 years in the NFL, so he had some money. But his point was, if you're going to present yourself, present the best you, the best version of you that you can present. And sometimes that just starts with something as simple as a suit, a shirt, and a tie. You know,
I want to play something real quick, just because he has me cracking up every time I see him.
Theme music.
I'm like, I wish I had saved the one where he there was a better one. Now, granted, I mean, he's having a good time. He's got his theme song. So now every time you hear this now, even though it's an old school song,
yeah.
right? But in today, we associate that with him, right? He is like injecting like energy
And
into everything.
and it helps them kind of connect with the players, right?
Mhm.
Something that
He's
simple.
something else.
You see how the whole locker room, all those kids, all of a sudden that song came on, and they were just they locked in, with just from something as simple as that. And
He
people,
is a star. He
yeah,
is a star. Hold on a second. I want you to look. Remember when the coach didn't want to shake his hand?
oh, that's Eddie
That
Robinson
one.
Jr. Yeah,
Oh yeah, look, check this out. This is crazy. In like 2.5 nanoseconds, this.
I wake up motivated. 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 I wake up trying to bless somebody, inspire somebody, encourage somebody, help somebody to the next level. I got time.
Okay, I mean, I just want to throw that out there. Hold on one more second. Bear you.
but
I
no,
don't
but
want
I
these
mean,
shenanigans out of everybody out here in these streets. Fair use. Now, look,
but
the reason
it's
why I played some of the fun clips, besides all the motivational ones and ones where he's holding people accountable, is that's part of everything.
yeah.
There's the silly side, and there's the okay, but like he's getting people
Well,
hyped. But
again, that
important.
and it goes back to they call it the modern athlete, right? So that's a way he can connect with the modern athlete, the kids he's coaching, because like he said in that other clip, y'all didn't come up the way I did. Y'all a little bit different from how I was coached, and he understands that, and he understands that, hey, I have to reach these kids in a different type of way. And Dion's always been the master marketer. He's that's been his career. You know, whether it's NFL, even when he was coming out of college, going into the draft, you know, his attitude towards marketing defensive backs, it was like all of that stuff was calculated. So he's a master at that. But
Yeah.
you know, getting the connection with those kids is the bigger thing to me. It's like now those kids will run through a brick wall for him.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I think what he has done, and I can't even underscore this enough. Is that the right word? I like the fact that he didn't just raise the profile of Jackson State. It's not that this wasn't like a good institution or anything like that, but it didn't have that profile. It didn't have that shine, right? And
Right.
so he's bringing like, hey, we're cool. We've got swag. We're a good football team.
And if you think about it,
we're
and I could be wrong, but I can't think of a coach who's had that level of profile since Coach Eddie Robinson at Grambling.
I mean, homie, literally after the Robinson dude or whatever his name was like in his feelings and didn't want to shake his hand. Oh, I should just go ahead and download the clip real quick.
He turned that.
He turned that into a whole song. Who is swag? Who is swag? Like he's like, if I ain't swag, who is like? And I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
I was like,
again, that's the marketer and that marketing mind that he has. But
he's got shirts and carrying on. I want a Who is Swag shirt. I didn't even go to an HBCU.
But I hope they want, because I don't expect him to be at Jackson State beyond probably his son's graduating. You know, I don't expect him to be there beyond that. But I hope that not just Jackson State, but across all HBCUs, you're taking notes and looking at how he's doing this. Obviously, not everybody has the connections to pull and the profile that he does, but I don't think you necessarily need that in order to pull off some of the things he's pulling off. And always point back to Coach Rob at Grambling. You know, we think of people in the now and what they became, but in 1950 whatever, when Coach Rob took that job over, he wasn't Eddie Robinson, the coaching legend. He was just a young guy who just got a coaching gig, but he had that vision. And a lot of this I know from the tour, the museum, is that the whole thing with Grambling's band and how they became, basically known around the world. That was his vision. That was his idea. He wanted to have people, when they come to a Grambling football game, have an experience, not just see the football, not just see a game. And he executed that perfectly. And, back then you saw Coach Robinson and Pepsi commercials and things like that. So he had that profile without being the superstar athlete, but he worked at it, he executed. And the only difference is when the big boys came calling, no, I'll stay right here at Grambling. They've been good to me. I have no reason to leave. And
I wanted to play this again. I'm sorry. I wanted to play this again. I didn't cut you off. This was I labeled this Raising Mama's Boys. I'm gonna play this for a second again.
The time Florida State, Miami, and the Florida Gators were in the top 10
every year.
And if you lost one game, which we did to Miami my last 2 years, you're done for the national championship. If you lost in state, you're done. And now, man, I don't know what's going on. I think it starts at the crib. It starts at home. We're so soft with our kids, and we're guarding them and protecting their feelings and emotion that we're not raising dogs, man. We're raising cats. We're raising mama's boys, man, and daddy's dream kid. Instead of getting on these kids, making sure they fight for what they want. I don't even see kids today thinking about, man, I can't wait to work my butt off so I can retire my mama. Man, they think about how many followers they could get, man. How many likes they get on a post, not being great. How many offers they can assume from colleges, not being the best. And this has to stop. And they're doing one thing, they're specializing in one thing. It's all season basketball, all season football, they're not even having fun. And they don't even love it like they used to. They like it. Just like Instagram, they like it. Just like Twitter, they like it. That's what they need to do. We need to put a love button on social media. Because a lot of folks ain't loving stuff no more. They like it, but where's the love? Because anything I love, you're going to give everything you got to it. Anything you like, it is what it is.
So I played that because so my daughter, well, let me rephrase this. I have 4 children. 3 of them play sports, various levels. One wants to stay primarily rec because he doesn't want to put in the work, which is fine. Like he enjoys playing. He's like, I don't know if I want to be on a travel team or a club team. That's fine. I've got one child who's like, I want to play travel this and just this sport. We're okay. I've got another child who wants to be the best at everything. That would be my daughter. Like she can't even get her mind right, even with schools. I looked at her grades the other day and it literally was 100, 100, 100, 100, 100, 100, and then 1 B. And she was getting ready to have a meltdown because she had a B. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Too much pressure. Not that I don't want you to have all A's, but what I will say is if you gave your best and it wasn't an A, I still love you and I'm good. It could have been a C because that was her best. If it's not your best, that's different. But if that is your best, I'm okay.
Right.
Where I'm going with that was when we talk about these kids in sports for a second, and he brought up a really good point because I have this conversation with other parents. You know how busy I am during the week with my kids in other sports.
Yep.
There are some kids who are starting to specialize way too early.
Yes.
Way too early.
Agreed.
And I remember one time I came back. My daughter's on a travel basketball team. She's on a club lacrosse team. She came back and she was out there. It was like midnight dark. And she was like trying to work on layups. And she wasn't really all that great at it, but like it was dark and she was messing up. And I was like, that's enough. She's like, no, I got to make this. I got to make this. I was like, that's enough. Go inside, take a shower, and go do something that 10-year-old kids do. While you and I were in the middle of this live, I looked away for a second because I got a text message. One of her really best friend, her mom texted me and she said, we need to schedule a play date for the girls because she misses her. It's because she was away for a week on vacation and my daughter was caught up in some sports stuff. And I am most definitely going to schedule that in the next couple of days, as a matter of fact, because they're very close. And it's really important that I feel like at this age, she's 10 years old, that she has to still be a kid.
Yep.
So, and I look at some of these parents and some of these other programs. My daughter's in a really good program for lacrosse. I may or may not move her. I'm not sure yet. Depends on how she's feeling and how the season goes. But this other program is more intense. And I noticed that these kids are feeling so much pressure. Until then it becomes a matter of what does my daughter want to do? And then I got to think about the parenting side of it.
Yeah. What?
Mama boys and not loving anything, just liking everything.
And one of the things is like you see a lot of parents, they are living through their kids. And it's like, look, you had your turn. You had your time. Let your kid shape up to be whatever they want. And they'll figure out, they'll gravitate to whatever they like on their own. You know, if I had kids, I'm a big believer in, hey, if you're going to play sports, it's not just going to be one sport all the time. You're going to play multiple sports until you get to an age where it's like, all right, throw that out. I don't want to do that anymore. Throw that out. This is what I want to do. But to me, it gives you opportunity to develop different muscle groups, you know, work on different skill sets,
more friends, different friends,
depending on the sport. You know, like basketball is a little bit different from football and lacrosse because, hey, 1 or 2 players can make or break a team in basketball. You know, lacrosse is what, 9 people on the field at a time, something like that.
More than that, but yeah.
But football's 11. They're like the ultimate team sports of teaching you. We all got to work together. We all have to do our job to make this one thing happen. You know, and I what the best way I heard Ed Reed talk about this one time when he was talking to Miami. And he said, you know, you see a football play, a big play happen, and everybody sees the quarterback throw the pass downfield to the receiver and score a touchdown. But he said what they don't understand was, hey, in order for that to happen, that line had to be blocking. that tight end might have had to clear the field out so that receiver could get open. Quarterback had to make a great pass. Receiver had to make a great throw.
Same thing
Coach
in
had to make
lacrosse.
coach had to make a great call. So all of these things had to come together teamwork wise to make that big moment happen. So, I will want my kids to really experience and unlearn and understand that. And
Yeah, I
that
mean,
serves them well once they get out of sports, once they get into the workplace, where it's most certainly going to be part of a team.
we had to do that with our kids. We put our kids in multiple sports, and
Hmm.
over time, they Disha Baz, you're having a hard time. I'm like, I'm not sure if you're talking to us. We don't hear a thing. Um, Text me. I'm
Go
sure
ahead.
you hear me, but I can't hear you at all. So if I look away, it's because I'm looking to see like if I'm getting a text message or something like that. So yeah, I definitely think it's really important for children to play multiple sports. It
Hmm.
is so important. My daughter was at camp this summer for lacrosse as part of the club, actually,
Hmm.
and we had a trainer from one of the top lacrosse colleges. She was there, and basically said like she basically said that the children are coming in actually into the camp already injured, and they're overworked. Like we
Hmm.
know, like my daughter is like there are teams that are like practicing so much. And the
Yeah.
one thing about her team is they shut it down. They're like, you're a talented
Right.
team, tone this down a little
And
bit. You're
the
10, go
question,
home
the question I, was,
and talk to
I would ask is like, why do you have 9 and 10-year-olds practicing so much? We're like, they're out here to have fun and learn. Yeah, they're not out here trying to earn a scholarship today,
I know.
or tomorrow or the next day.
And
You
it's so
know.
interesting too because we live in an area where anybody who plays in this area is going to be good no matter what. Like I don't care what team you're on. I mean, some teams are better than others, but because
Mhm.
there's so much talent, there's so much coaching, there's so much in this area, you're going to get what you need to get. Like right now,
Sure.
the team that she's on, like we're literally trying to plan like I don't well, I'm a Christian, I'm saved by the blood of the lamb. So technically I don't believe in Halloween. I believe in Harvest Fest. But we're planning like a trunk or treat. We're planning like Christmas parties. We're planning other things. Like y'all need to
Hmm.
like still have fun and be young ladies, be girls. Like, and when they are in that mode, they are fun to watch because they're like, and another thing, blah, blah, blah. Like we're just like tone this down. Dieter Baz is texting me, and I'm trying to figure out what is going on. He said, I don't know what's going on with my system. I'm like, I don't either. I don't know what's going on
Listen, we
with
haven't
my
heard
system.
a word from him.
I know because
I
normally
see
he
his
chimes in.
avatar, but I don't hear anything.
Yeah, I see. Oh, he dropped out again. I don't know why we can't hear him. But anyway, so yeah, I don't want to get too far off track. So look, the good thing about Coach Prime being there is because bring it back to Coach Prime because I know we're gonna have to like shut this
Mhm.
down a little bit. Coach Prime, I think, is going to actually raise the academic profile. I know that sounds crazy, but by virtue of him being able to raise the profile of the university, he's going to be able to bring in more revenue. That revenue
Mhm.
is going to be distributed across multiple areas, multiple areas. So that's just my thoughts on it. And the fact of the matter is, we can't stop talking about Jackson State. We can't
Yeah.
stop talking about them. He is actually changing the culture. He's actually changing the culture.
Yeah.
I feel like he's forcing them to stop resting in their learned helplessness. Like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
He's like demanding excellence. He's
Hmm.
demanding that they start like, hey, why
You
are
know what
we
it is?
only go ahead?
To me, it's one of those things. So it's like going to a HBCU, they'll demand that excellence out of you in the classroom. But then when it's time, when you want to have to apply it to athletics or these other areas, nobody wants to demand it or put in that same level of effort that they will have you put in as a student. I think one of the reasons is because people don't, especially when you talk about academics, they don't see value in it. Um, but it's just what it is. And I'm like, no, I like, that's why, like you said, he's demanding excellence from everybody across the board. And I remember his introductory press conference when he said, "Listen, I do everything first class, and that's how it's going to be done, and that's it." Yeah, and I like that. I like that.
He is setting it off. I mean, I love the fact that I was going to play this other video, but basically he's talking about, discipline leading to opportunities and stuff like
Hmm.
that. And I think about how these young men, I want to say it was Travis Hunter and his two boys. I think
Hmm.
he got the NIL. Was it a name, image, and
You
likeness?
name it. Yeah.
Um, is that right?
Yep.
Okay. So name, image, and likeness. I don't know if they're contracts or I don't know
Yeah.
what it
It's
is, like deals,
endorsement deals.
endorsement deals. You
Hmm.
know, he's like, yo, our guys are just as good and they
Yeah.
need to get it. I looked up Shador. I was
Hmm.
like, let me see, what does that mean for him, right? He's already worth $2 to $3 million. Do you
Hmm.
realize that there is some young lady who is eyeing him? Like he is now starting to get that like
Yeah.
big name school look. I'm sure she
And you
is.
know what? And even with that, last year they showed a clip and Dion brings in different people to talk to the kids, and I think it was Brittany Renner, the IG.
Oh,
He had her come in
hmm.
and address the football team about some of the trappings of success and some of these things you're going to run into with women, and the hangers on, all those things that a lot of guys fall victim to. He had her come in and talk to them about that and break that down for them. And
That's good.
so it's across the board. It's not just football. He's really truly teaching them things that they're going to be able to take with them for the rest of their lives. And they're going to be, if they really understand and really take advantage of that resource that they have, they're going to be able to take what he's teaching them and that'll help them become successful regardless. Who cares whether football works out or not in terms of a career in football? Only maybe one or two are you going to go pro anyway. We know that. But the other 80 of you, like the NCAA commercial says, you're going to go pro, just not in sports. So
Oh, I like
yeah,
that.
you're going to go off and be a dentist, go off and be a teacher, go off and be an engineer, whatever. But you can take those lessons that he's teaching you and apply it in any discipline that you choose to go into. So, I like that he's really locked into that part of it to helping these guys become better young men.
I want to play this real quick. Let's see.
In the post game, I'm not about to give you that Obama bro hug.
I think he thought he was going to get a win. I don't know why he would have ever thought that. I did hear his interview where he said that I came out and ran around the field. All of the people that's been with me for years, and even playing in the NFL, I always come out the locker room and run around the field. That's my tradition. That's what I do. That wasn't nothing personal to invoke any riotous act against them. That's not who I am. That's not what I stand for. That's not what I'm about. Second, he also said I didn't come to greet him in the center of the field. I don't know if you understand. We got here very late, so that expedited our whole process of preparation. So now we were in like, let's go get it. And I'm not one to go find the coach.
He ain't swag. I'm swag. He ain't swag. So he's in the conference and doing a great job. Can't knock that. Got a great team. Son should be up for the Heisman Trophy winner. I love Shador. Great player. I love what he's doing for the conference. Probably one of the best things we had since in that Steve McNair era when he was in there. Love all of that. But you're not going to come here and disrespect me and my team and my school and then want to bro hug me. Shake my hand and get the hell on.
I think I was a darn good.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw
I'm
that.
loving it. Hold on a second. Fair use. I'm not playing with you fools out here. This is fair use. All right. So like, let me tell you the reason why I wanted to play that. What he did there, in my opinion, or whoever put those clips together, I love
Mm,
it because, as with anything, you want a rivalry. You want
hmm.
a little bit of tension, right? No,
Yeah.
like, no, I'm not gonna shake his hand and come here and disrespect my school. Like, you need a little bit of that to get people like interested and
Yeah,
invested, you know?
and that was post game. So
Yeah. I mean, and I had other clips, and I got other stuff on here, but you see what I'm saying? Like
well, there's a million of them. But even with that, even with all the different clips prior to Dion getting there, you didn't see anybody doing social media or YouTube for their football program, at least not at HBCU level. And now you're seeing a video, they're posting multiple videos a day, it seems like. So he understands the power of marketing, and he understands how to use that to raise the profile of the university. So
yeah, and that's just what I grabbed off of TikTok. Imagine if they had like part of their digital design, I don't know, whatever department. Now it's like you have the social media, whatever it is. And so part of somebody's job is to make sure there's YouTube clips or
yeah.
TikTok, whatever. But not only that, like certain ones. And so, like,
Oh,
yeah, you wait until stuff airs on, is broadcasted,
sure.
and then you take some of that. You probably can't use
Well,
that stuff, but oh my
and
goodness.
you're saying it's no coincidence. He's
And
got
you can get
cameras.
money off of that from the university.
Yeah, he's got cameras rolling all the time. So but I mean, this is one of the things. In the article from SI or Sports Illustrated, for those who don't know what SI is. It says in his first year at Jackson State, and I sent this to you earlier, he's generated $185 million in advertising and exposure for the school in 1 year. So stretch that out over the next 2 or 3 years, and look what you got, because that number is going to go up.
Yeah.
So it's all these different things that it's like, hey man, the guy's doing the job. He's doing a very good job at it. And like I said, I hope he stays with it. I would love to see him stick around for the long haul and become that next Eddie Robinson. But we'll see.
Well, I was going to play one other thing. So I'm going to try to wind this down because I know sometimes you and I can go for a couple hours. I wanted to play this for a second. I have all kinds of clips.
You were able to make that transition and to be successful so soon too?
Because this is who I am. See, you see me on a large stage right now, and I'm thankful for the accolades. But you didn't see me when I was coaching youth ball, and we was laying out our uniforms the night before when he was 6, when he was 5, playing with the 7 years old, right? You didn't see us when we migrated and had my troop league. That our first tryout, we had 1,200 kids. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13, 14, we traveled all over the country. You didn't see us when I was at the Hall of Fame speaking at that. We had 6 or 7 buses that we took our kids there, and we played in 3 different cities. So you didn't see me with the toil and the ignorance and adolescence targeted at me when I tried to develop a school in Texas. And you didn't see me once we moved to another school, then landed at the last school, and we won 4 state titles consecutively. You didn't see all that. You just seeing Coach Brown now. But I've been that guy for years. You just negated to see it. And I'm thankful that you see it now, and you're acknowledging it. I promise you I'm so thankful. Because we've touched a lot of lives, and we plan on touching a lot more lives. But I love what I do, and I do what I love. And some guys want to get into coaching. Coaching is already in me. I think that's the difference. Boy, that was good. Y'all should have clapped for that. You go, Brad. Go, Brad. Thank you. Thank you.
That's that promotion again, though. Boy, that was good. Y'all should have clapped for that.
Yeah, it was. I just want to say this is fair use. I'm not playing with you fools out here in these streets. Fair use. Fair use is a legal doctrine that promotes freedom of expression by promoting the unlicensed use of copyright protected works in certain circumstances. Section 107 of the Copyright Act provides a statutory framework for determining whether something is a fair use and identifies certain types of uses, such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research as examples of activities that may qualify as fair use. Okay. I wanted to play that because I didn't want it to be too myopic in how we see him, right?
Mhm.
Like he's just a coach. He's more than a coach. He's a mentor. He's giving back. He was working with the youth, and so I don't want people to mistake
Miss that.
me as like idolizing him, but and I'm sure he has his flaws and imperfections, but
Sure.
nevertheless, I like the fact that he's working with young black men, believe it or
Mhm.
not. And now, as a black woman, now you know I'm all like into the whole black woman thing because you know I will like totally snatch black men's lives together. But I like to see this. This is a person who's actually standing on his principle. He's trying to build something at a school. He's building
Mhm.
a program. He's trying to build this notion of excellence. He's building men of character. He's trying
Mhm.
to institute discipline. He's trying to bring excellence to a city, to a university, to a cadre of personnel. He's
Mhm.
working with the youth. He's demanding that other people actually treat him with a level of respect, whether it's the advertisers, whether it's somebody who's interviewing him,
Mhm.
right? It's like if you're not going to call him this, and then you're not going to call me that. I like that. I don't want anyone to think that I'm just like he's the best.
No,
What
no,
I
that's
just like what the energy that he's bringing.
sure. And that's and I think you know, and you covered it all. And that's my biggest thing is like the the bigger picture of what he's doing there. You know, it's and I've said this before, and I think I got this from Dr. Randy Pausch in his last when he did the last lecture, where it's like, you know, football, he's using football as the head fake to teach you all these other things, right? To teach you the discipline, to teach you the life lessons, to teach you how to, you know, always present the best version of yourself. And if you're gonna come in here and do this, do it 100% or don't do it at all. All those things that our parents would teach, you know, would teach us anyway, right?
Yeah.
But he's using the platform of college football to teach those things. And that's all sports really is at that level. It's just a head fake to teach life lessons.
Well, I mean, I'm just really impressed at how he's channeling his celebrity. The
Hmm.
fact of the matter is, going back to the very beginning, I think he is one of the best things that could happen to HBCUs
Hmm.
today.
Hmm.
Today. Let me caveat that today.
Sure.
Right now, he's raising the profile, and he's leveraging football. And it starts with him using his celebrity, his star power, and he's
Hmm.
going to raise the profile of Jackson State. But any first hop out now, I'm going to use engineering terms. When we think about interfaces, when we think about systems, or whatever, we think
Hmm.
about that first hop out. So
Hmm.
when he's interacting with was it Alabama State? The first hop out. What
Hmm.
happens is it's not just raising the profile of Jackson State, it's raising the profile of Alabama State.
Hmm.
Alabama is now going to get TV time or whatever like that.
Hmm.
You know, and then there's like what we call like our sub processes within Jackson State. You're going to have increase in merch sales.
Hmm.
That's going to help the school. And then you're going to realize I need multiple versions of my logo, or how many ways
Hmm.
can I say Jackson State? So
Yep.
you're going to get that. Maybe you'll trademark that. Maybe you're going to find different ways of like presenting that on your merch, different
Yep.
type of merch. But then it goes into students learning how to, they can use this very live use case on how to
Hmm.
market the school. So not only are you marketing the school, it's a marketing use case, but also you're learning how to use social media platforms. How do I leverage these platforms that
To
doesn't take
get.
away from the media contracts?
Yep.
How does the city profit off of this so that it impacts the city in a meaningful way? A meaningful way.
Yep.
What if I'm raising the profile and more people want to come in and see the school just because of what he has done for the school? You never know how that translates into dollars
So
from the
yep.
city, which turns into maybe a hotel, maybe it turns into more homes, maybe it turns into
Absolutely.
increase in
And
enrollment.
over time, yeah, and it takes time, but over time, I think that's exactly what happens. And you know, I think, and obviously taking the example of the University of Alabama, I read something somewhere where the mayor of Tuscaloosa said that that program is worth about $2 billion a year to the city
Yeah,
town of Tuscaloosa.
that's
Now,
crazy.
obviously, we don't expect it that we're ever, the HBCU team is ever going to get that big.
Why
You
not?
never know.
Why
I
not?
mean, I mean, I guess because a lot of us we can't see that, but 20, 30 years down the road, you never know, right? But in the meantime, you can still have that same, scaled, the same impact on your region, your city, wherever. Um, from I guess, or I should say, just scaled down to at the level that you're at currently. So they could have that impact on the town of Jackson, Mississippi, and all the other schools, Grambling, Louisiana, Southern, I think is in Baton Rouge. Baton Rouge, I think it's Baton Rouge. They can have that impact there, and so on and so forth.
Well, I want to say, look, you and I, we can go on and on, but I
Hmm.
do want to thank you for coming on. You're one of my
Yes,
favorite
ma'am.
people. You and I had this
We got to
conversation.
get these Shabazz. We got to send him a microphone or something.
I know, because I'm like, what is going on with his audio? Because I know he has a lot to say. For those of you, I don't like to give out too much of his information. I'll let him say where, but I think he said it in another live, but he did attend an HBCU. So I would love for him to take his. I can't even get the words out. I would love for him to have a take on this.
Hmm.
I attended a PWI, so my experience was different than yours. So I love having people on who attend I'm sorry, HBCUs. But not only that, as much as I would love to have, let me just segue for a second. I'm sure people who are probably watching this channel are like, why is it that she's very like she talks about black women topics and everything like that, but when she has a panel, it's primarily men. And let me explain to everybody I just want to explain. Number one, there's several things that's happening here. Number one, many black women do not like to come on this platform, and they definitely don't want to be cammed up. Like it's really difficult getting that kind of
I can't get my wife to come on here. I've been trying,
right.
but
So I don't push it because it's not for everyone. I remember someone suggested I should start a YouTube channel. I was like, I'm not getting on YouTube. Like I was one of those people. Number two, if I'm going to have people on, and now granted, I know that it probably seems elitist or whatever it is, but I do like to highlight or showcase educated black men. As much as I get on black men, I don't want anyone to think I'm anti-black man. I do like to show men who have a career. I am a fan of educated men. I don't think it should be a crime. I think it's very anti-intellectual to be mad at someone who wants to showcase educated men. It doesn't mean it's going to always be that way, but I enjoy showing educated men. I think we have to have images, more images of that. We have to promote that. It's so important. Black males are the worst performing demographic in so many things. And so any opportunity to show another side. I'm not necessarily saying like it's not true. What I'm trying to show is that, hey, they exist. I'm not caping for black men. I want to make sure this is clear. I feel like black men have to stand up and be leaders, but there is a demographic of men out there who are doing great things. I like for people to see them. I like for them to hear them. It's important that instead of me just saying it, it's like I can show you better than I can tell you. And that's the reason why on my platform, I will bring on certain men. Every single man, as far as I can remember, that has shown up on this platform that I know I have either worked with or worked in proximity with. These are all men who are in STEM actually. These are highly educated individuals. Okay. I do that for a reason. Now, let me get off that high horse. I don't know where I was going with it because I got to go to the bathroom. I forgot my whole point. Look, I'm middle age. I
it
had a point,
happens.
but nevertheless, I do thank you for coming on since I can't remember my whole point and why the reason why I brought that whole thing up. Thank you for coming on. I'm sure you and I would chat
Sure.
about this tomorrow.
Yep.
I thought this was an interesting conversation. You thought it might have been an interesting conversation. And we were just basically talking about the importance of why this man has elevated the profile of a school, which in turn is just so beneficial to HBCUs. I wanted HBCUs to be highlighted. I almost attended one. I ended up not going to one at the last second because they pissed me off. But anyway, yeah, I didn't want anyone to think I was anti HBCU or anything like that. And for those of you who are new to my channel, I actually applied to North Carolina A&T. I accepted it, and at the last second, I rescinded my acceptance. I guess that's what it is. And I wound up going to an a
A
PWI.
PWI.
I applied to 4 PWIs and 1 black school or HBCU. And the rest is history. We can go on and on and on about that. But anyway, that's where I am with it. So for those of you, I just wanted to make it clear, I am not anti HBCU. I do find value in the HBCU. I just happen to have attended a PWI. I don't regret my decision at that time. I've gotten hella opportunities. Just to spell it out, which isn't related to the Coach Prime thing. I was able to go to China at the end of my freshman year. I was a freshman. I finished my freshman year, but I'm going there with PhD students in physics. I didn't even understand the abstract, which was something on intense terahertz lasers. To this day, I don't even know what they were talking, because when you read it, I was like, this is not in English. I was able to travel through Europe for school to learn different things for the Air Force. It's called Operation Air Force. There's so many opportunities. Okay. So I try not to live with too many regrets. I don't regret that I attended a PWI. It's just that it's just the way it worked out for me. Okay. So, but I do like to highlight very intelligent, knowledgeable men. I don't always necessarily agree with everything, but I think it's really important that if we're going to promote something, if I'm going to talk about Black men, I want to promote something that's not going to be rooted in any kind of negativity. We can disagree on positions,
Sure.
but these are men who have achieved different things, who are doing different things, and I think it's very important for anyone who visits my channel. They have to see that, because I do value education. All right. You want to say anything else before I go to the bathroom? Because I've been holding it.
Nope, you covered it all.
I did? Okay.
Yeah, you got it all.
All right. I'll chat to you tomorrow.
All right.